What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Wednesday, November 10th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 13-game slate tonight. The picks were pretty good yesterday, so we're back on track. And I like these picks here tonight. I've got a bunch of value plays for you. So let's get into it. At the point guard position, I like Devontae Graham from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the third worst defense overall, and they give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Devontae Graham has averaged 31.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 31.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 6,200 DraftKings salary, 300 more on FanDuel. And I like this pick because he scored 35, 37, and 48 fantasy points in his last 3 games versus the Thunder. So I like Devontae Graham here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, another point guard that I like, here's a value play for you. I like Patrick Beverley from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing point guards, but Patrick Beverley has averaged 24.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. He's projected at 26 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 6.1 times value. He's 4,300 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 223 points scored in this game, and he scored 25, 14, and 37 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 29, 27, and 31 minutes. Now, Patrick Beverley has hit 5 times value or more 86% of the time this season. Now, unfortunately, yesterday or last night, Anthony Simmons, he had hit 5 times value 90% of the time on the season, and he only scored 9 fantasy points, so he didn't hit value. But that was a 90% chance, and it was that 1 out of 10 games this season. But I like my chances with Patrick Beverley here versus the Golden State Warriors. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards, and Zach LaVine has averaged 41.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 31% usage rate. He's projected at 42.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. He's 7,600 DraftKings salary, 400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 212 points scored in this game, and he scored 41, 47, and 40 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 38, and 37 minutes. And he scored 32, 60, 46, 244 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Mavericks. And it looks like he hasn't scored under 40 fantasy points in the last 5 games. So I think it looks like he's a little underpriced here, where he's going to get you over 5 times value. And let's see, he's hit 5 times value or more 90% of the time on the season. So I love this play. So I like Zach LaVine here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Another shooting guard that I like is Will Barton from the Denver Nuggets playing the Indiana Pacers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Will Barton has averaged 32.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 33.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's 6,300 DraftKings salary, 300 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213.5 points scored in this game. And Will Barton has scored 46, 37, and 47 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 36, and 40 minutes. And he scored 5 times value 70% of the time on the season so far. So I like Will Barton here versus the Indiana Pacers. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Jae'Sean Tate from the Houston Rockets playing the Detroit Pistons, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing small forwards. Jae'Sean Tate has averaged 25.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He's projected at 26.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 5,100 DraftKings salary, 100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 210.5 points scored in this game. And Jae'Sean Tate has scored 35, 25, and 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 31, and 33 minutes. So I like Jae'Sean Tate here versus the Detroit Pistons. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like DeMar DeRozan from the Chicago Bulls playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. DeMar DeRozan has averaged 42 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 31% usage rate. He's projected at 42.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He's 8,600 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 212 points scored in this game, and DeMar DeRozan has scored 39, 41, and 53 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 34, 35, and 36 minutes. Now, the reason that I like this pick is because DeMar DeRozan has crushed the Dallas Mavericks, scoring 50, 56, 47, 41, and 52 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Mavs. So I like DeMar DeRozan here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, another power forward that I like. Here's a value play for you. I like Darius Bazley from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the New Orleans Pelicans, who have the 4th worst defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Darius Bazley has averaged 25.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 26.6 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's $4,800 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel. And Darius Bazley has scored 36, 23, and 24 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 32, 24, and 30 minutes. So I like Darius Bazley here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, moving on to the center position, I like Jarrett Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the Washington Wizards, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing centers. Jarrett Allen has averaged 36.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 37.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $7,500 DraftKings salary, the same price on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 211.5 points scored in this game, and Jarrett Allen's been on fire, scoring 49, 41, and 56 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 34, 38, and 39 minutes. And he scored 43, 32, 55, and 38 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Wizards. So I like Jarrett Allen here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, now here's a value play at the center position. I like Precious Achiuwa from the Toronto Raptors playing the Boston Celtics, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing centers. And Precious Achiuwa, he has averaged 22.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 21.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's only $4,100 DraftKings salary. He's $900 more on FanDuel, so I love that DraftKings price. He scored 40 fantasy points in his last game versus the Celtics, and he scored 28, 15, and 26 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 27, 18, and 26 minutes. So I like Precious Achiuwa here versus the Boston Celtics. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.